from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
This is AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Kroc in for Dan Proft. He'll be back after this week's holidays. Now, this is, I have much anticipation of talking to retired Riverside Chief of Police Thomas Weitzel. Thank you, Chief, for joining us again on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Chris, and thanks for having me.
Great talking to you, man. Always. Okay, a couple things. We have the New Year's Eve thing coming up. And, let me just ask you a few things. What would your advice be to people? Would it be to not go because of the, Christmas tree lighting scenario possibly happening again? You've got a rap concert. You have Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve for the first time since the 70s, actually doing part of their broadcast in Chicago for New Year's Eve. Brandon Johnson is talking about, now a curfew. Now I want a curfew for one day. But other than that, it's bad. It's bad. We need more jobs programs for thugs instead of having curfews, that kind of BS. So, what's your advice to those who are going, and would you tell your folks to not go? For example, with this event specifically first, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wouldn't go, and I would tell people I know not to go. But certainly, if you are going, I would go in a group, or I would have already made like reservations where you could watch events from inside your hotel room or something like that if you're down actually in the Loop area. But I would not go. I mean, there is going to be, these types of events are always attracting type criminal activity, maybe in the last 3 or 4 years, without a doubt. So Chicago will definitely have a large presence down in the downtown area, no question about that. But we've seen that doesn't all the time make a difference. And you just referenced that disturbance they had where 9 individuals were shot and 1 were killed during the Christmas tree. I mean, and they had an extra 800 police officers assigned to the district that night. Mm-hmm. So that always doesn't make a huge difference. And that statement by the mayor that it's okay for a one-day curfew. The problem with that, Chris, is that's a stupid statement to begin with, but curfews are usually for after. Like, the incident's already happening, and then you're gathering up or taking juveniles into custody on the curfew violations, but it's not preventing them from coming down. It's not preventing the gathering. It's not preventing the violence.
So that answers one of my big questions with that. And then, how about this? Chicago officials are warning, this is from journalist Mario Naufal, Chicago officials are warning that New Year's Eve events are now attractive targets for terrorists because of not anything specific, but because the setup is perfect for chaos, massive crowds, soft targets, no escape. In New Orleans, the FBI just stopped a bomb plot for these extremist leftist groups planning on hitting ICE agents with pipe bombs and firearms. Their goal was to take some of them out and scare the rest. So, is this wise to share with the public and, that kind of a thing? Is that wise, or is it good to share it so that people can really be aware and know what's going on before they go to the event?
Yeah, it's absolutely the right thing to do to share. I mean, why would you withhold information that could provide security for you and your family? You have no way to make a decision on whether you're going to go to an event or you're going to go to a large gathering if the police are withholding information. I mean, you as a resident or a citizen of where you're living, information is power for you, and you decide, hey, I'm going to bring my husband and wife. We're going to go down with our 4 kids, the city of Chicago or New Orleans, you mentioned. I mean, you have to be able to have accurate information to say, okay, we're going to drive down or we're going to take public transportation. What are the threats? What are the known threats, if any? Of course they should be releasing that information. And I know there are those that disagree with me because they say, oh, you're over-exaggerated and you're keeping people from coming and having a good time. But what that translates to is they're keeping people from coming and spending money, and it's about revenue, okay? It's about, they're like, oh, don't scare them. Don't scare them. Well, that means, what do you mean? Don't give them the truth, the facts?
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, too. This popped up last night. Apparently, Mayor Brandon Johnson tweeted this out instead of buying any more walkie-talkies on poles, making fun of ShotSpotter, we need to continue investing in our communities by hiring more young people for summer jobs and training more community violence intervention workers, which I wrote, hug a thug, can I bring my GAT to the job training program? But some folks commenting on this, sometimes saying Johnson's curfew has set a New Year curfew for people under 18, downtown without adult supervision. CWB says just like he kept ShotSpotter active until after the DNC, Democrat Convention, some policies suddenly critical when the spotlight is on the city, but not on the other 364 days. Another person, the Chicago Spectator, chimed in talking about the horrific story, as we recall. According to dispatch recordings, a ShotSpotter sensor alerted police to the shooting that killed Chicago police officer Luis Huesca nearly 5 minutes before the rest of the 911 callers started coming in Sunday morning. Johnson on Monday was asked repeatedly about this revelation, his plan to scrap ShotSpotter technology, and he basically dodged it and wouldn't do it. So somebody wrote from Chicago Spectator, yes, Mrs. Huesca, it was just a walkie-talkie on a pole that alerted us to the shooting death of your son. The mayor is a disgrace. Thoughts on all that?
Yeah, the mayor's turning off basically the ShotSpotter was a terrible decision. And you remember he said that they would look for a replacement tool. I mean, data technology, that hasn't happened. And
right.
I mean, CWB Chicago, they have documented, I think they're up to 67, what they call Brandon's bodies of police being able to respond. And make no mistake, those that don't support the ShotSpotter and were in the camp of the mayor thought that that's a tool that prevents shooting. It's a tool that gets officers to the scene quicker, that makes sure that there's first aid may be rendered quicker, that the paramedics get there, and that people survive shootings. Because in the case with the ShotSpotter, you got the officers there, got paramedics there, and they got notification from ShotSpotter when no one else called 911. Not a single caller reported those incidents. So that's a tool police use to help them respond quicker, not to prevent shootings.
All right, Chief, this is another big one. A lot of good stuff today to talk to you about. Okay, this is the 2 arrested following large disturbance at Joliet Mall. Police at Joliet arrested 2 people following a large disturbance Saturday at the Joliet Mall, at the Louis Joliet Mall, before 6 p.m. December 27th, Saturday. Approximately 50 juveniles causing a disturbance inside the mall. I saw 2 weaves that apparently had been ripped out of girls' hairs on the floor there, with people running wild everywhere after the cops, before they showed up or after they showed up. Multiple fights happening prior to and upon officers' arrival. Numerous juveniles fled the mall area. So, you wrote about this. The teen takeover in Chicago has now reached suburban Joliet. It's learned behavior from Chicago and Glen Ellen. Without swift enforcement, it'll only get worse. So, first of all, only 2 arrests when there were 50 people. And second of all, teen takeover. That shouldn't even be in our vernacular, because we're letting teens take over when we're supposed to be in charge. Talk to me.
Yeah, they should change that from targeted violence, what that is. A teen takeover is a nice, soft term people like to use, but these are actual incidents with large numbers of teens. Total chaos. It's planned, usually put out on social media. And the suburban department sometimes can be overtaken very quickly because, they just don't have the staffing and manpower that like the city of Chicago does. But these are definite types of incidents that started in the city. They have moved to the suburbs. The reason I mentioned Glen Ellen, about they had the pool takeover.
Yes.
Hundreds.
Yes.
That's the same type of behavior that's happening, that took place at the Joliet Mall. It's learned behavior. It's that type of thing that they see on TV. They see the publicity on it, and they do it. And I found out that it was advertised on social media. So, yes, my position is you should be arresting everybody you can. I mean, they've tried everything else: de-escalation, sending out parents, newsletters to students at the school districts,
jobs programs.
Yeah, they're not working. And I saw a Chicago alderman say, "Hey, we're going to hold the social media companies accountable by fining them $50,000." That's a great idea, right? It's going to do nothing. That's not going to do anything.
Right, exactly. All right, the Chicago Contrarian Since they won't do basic research to learn why CPD overtime, this is huge to me, Chief, because I talked about this yesterday. I was very mad about it. I was mad about the lie saying, oh, we can cut money out of the budget. The largest line item on the budget is Chicago police paying for their overtime, their salary, and we can cut that. And my response was, in anger, how dare you? You are 2,000 officers short for the city of Chicago. That's why your overtime is insane. I know police officers who have left that department, that were in that department, that were worked to death, always, always, always called all the time for overtime, no matter what. Cancel vacation. Screw you. You mean nothing. Your family means nothing. Work, 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 work. And now they're going to cut overtime because so what that means is the overtime is there because officers are not working and they don't have enough people in these jobs. They're short. And now they're going to cut that overtime, meaning now you're going to have thugs running wild everywhere. So tell me how true that is and what your thoughts are on this.
That's completely misleading. Every police department has an expansive overtime budget. It's just a fact. City of Chicago has a huge one. They almost always go over the budget because what happens is that the city officials or your village officials, they ask for police to be coming up on the New Year's Eve. They're going to have extra officers. Those are all overtime. And not only are they time and a half, they're double time, sometimes triple times on Halloween. Those are in there for union contracts. You can't get around that. And they're going to put officers out when the city or the elected officials are asking, hey, we need officers down here. We need more officers, more officers. That's not planned overtime, right? That's forced overtime. So there's always going to be overtime. And when the city of Chicago is 2,000 officers short, and like I put on my X account, it's a dirty little secret. What's happened behind closed doors, Chris, is that the elected officials, they don't care so much that they're burning out the cops and that they're working overtime because most of those elected officials will tell the superintendent or the chief of police, you guys are doing a great job. Keep doing the same thing. They're not going to hire officers because the amount of it costs to hire officers isn't going to exceed that because the cities and municipalities don't want to pay new officer salaries, benefits, police academy, uniforms. It's tremendous amount of money. It's somewhere around $180,000 to $200,000 to hire a single officer.
Wow.
And then Chris, they have those expenses forever, right, until they retire. They don't have, so they would. Sometimes they're like, okay. Publicly, we're going to say reduce overtime, but behind closed doors, they're saying, "Great job. Keep giving that overtime out to the officers." And the officers only like overtime, to a certain extent, because they do face burnout.
Yes. Okay. Here's another one that I wanted to talk to you about. This is from Awake, Illinois. Allowing passengers on CTA trains and buses to carry concealed weapons is a recipe for making an unacceptably unsafe transit system that much more dangerous. It's much more dangerous. Imagine riding in a crowded L car and seeing a rider feeling threatened, brandishing a firearm with their own defense. Would that make you the unarmed passenger feel safer with the prospect of gunshots in a confined space striking people other than the intended target? They're quoting somebody else. We expect the women set on fire recently on the Blue Line would have felt safer, they write, with a trained CCL weapon holder in the car with her or some form of weapon herself. They're attacking the Chicago Tribune on this quote. Then again, you did set up portals for people to track law enforcement, create chaos, and bring possible harm to our police. Talk to me about this because I think that you know what else? What the court adjudication on this prior cases are with case law says the term sensitive spaces is exactly what is used in this case and what is going to have to be adjudicated with the Supreme Court apparently. Sensitive spaces. And they say, well, the CTA, the L is a sensitive space. But to which I say, what do you mean sensitive space? There's nothing sensitive about public transit. There's nothing sensitive about it. It's insensitive. People come and they go, right, like cattle. So what do you say about the whole argument of sensitive spaces and letting people carry on public transit?
I don't think that they're going to – the individuals who are, supporting that sensitive space, that's not going to fly for public spaces, okay? I don't think the court's going to rule. The sensitive spaces might be inside of museums or college campus dorms or something like that. It's not going to be public spaces. And remember, the Chicago Tribune is criticizing what would be legally lawful concealed carry, people that are licensed carry a weapon to protect themselves. Okay, that's what they're saying should not be allowed. But that's the same media organization that, like I posted, will track federal law enforcement agencies. They will track them, photograph them, map them out, put them on portals, live as is happening, live, and they allow that. And then people are coming and attacking federal officers. Sometimes they're throwing bricks and bottles and getting injured. That's okay. But for a citizen to carry lawfully concealed carry, regardless of whether you're for concealed carry or not, if it's lawful, they're going to criticize that.
And to me, it's disgusting because born and raised Chicago, but I live in Dallas-Fort Worth, and I'm a concealed carry holder. I carry it everywhere, and yes, we can carry it on mass transit. It's just, it is so disgusting to me to see how neutered they have folks in Chicago and in Illinois with these anti-gun laws. It's just unbelievable. Chief, one more quick question. You tweeted this out. I stand by my statement. I consider Illinois to be one of the most anti-police legislative states in America. How and why?
Yeah, well, because they pass legislation, and it's still attempting to pass legislation in Springfield to limit police authority and be able to gut the policing profession. They already got rid of the gang database. They have tried to reduce traffic stops, meaning that they want to. They're obsessed with this term pretextual traffic stops, and they think that the police are unlawfully using those to come up with arrests of individuals in the car. Now, make note, Chris, that the United States Supreme Court said that that's totally lawful. Okay, they've ruled already, the United States Supreme Court, but they still want to say that the police are abusing it, and they're trying to stop you, meaning the officers, from making traffic stops for no license plates or driving at 10 o'clock at night with no headlights. That you can't do that. You could not stop an individual based on that alone. That hasn't passed, but they're still trying to pass legislation like that. There's all kinds of anti-police legislation. There was a proposal that if you attacked a police officer, it wouldn't be a felony. There's a proposal that officers can use their tasers only on certain parts of the body.
Oh, my God. These are people who don't know how to, they don't even know how they have no idea what they're talking about with this.
Yeah, I mean, it's and I was criticized. I did a recent, it's going to be out January 1st. You spoke earlier of Awake, Illinois. I did their first ever podcast called Awake and Armed. It's coming out January 1st. And they put a clip out on that, and I received some nasty emails saying that, my information isn't correct. This is correct. That's what's happening in Springfield. They're attempting to pass legislation so that police can do nothing more but drive down the street and wave out the window at people, but they can't do the job they're employed for.
It's sick. Chief Thomas Weitzel, retired Chief of Police, Riverside, and we're really grateful for you. Thanks for your continued contributions and keeping us up to date on what is happening with law enforcement and our rights and as citizens and for police officers. Thank you very much for joining us again on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Thanks for having me. Have a safe New Year.
Thank you. You too. Up next, Mark Glennon, founder of WirePoints. It's Chris Crockett for Dan Proft on AM 560, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day